Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your slightly sun-cooked host, Nick Ricada of Ricada Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. With me today is a very special guest. I'm going to bring him right in. No delay necessary. This is a man who kind of started my introduction to the entire Karen Read case 3 years ago, I think. And he's become quite a figure in the whole dramatic element of it. So let's, without further ado, welcome the doctor, Turtleboy, Aidan Kearney. Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
It's a mixed bag every day, but doing on the whole pretty well. How are you?
Yeah, I can't complain. You know, lots happened since I last came on your program. So
yeah, for both of us.
Talk about oh yeah, I'd say so. But I'm glad you're doing better, and glad to see you back on your feet. You got to rebound,
Yeah, it's like my life took a substantial pause so I could be retarded. and now that part's behind and it's back to work and working on picking up the pieces, but it's a journey, as many people know. I've been getting a lot of messages of support and people who've been through it, and it's really awesome. But what about you? You've had some different, like entirely different troubles than I have. Well, I don't know if I should call them troubles. That might be a little judgmental, I guess, of the items. But you've got a legal issue going on right now.
So I think when I came on your show, I don't know if that was before I was arrested or after the first time. Been arrested a couple times. It was before. Okay. So I ended up getting arrested October 11th, 2023 for basically this weird interpretation of the witness intimidation statute in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts, every state has a witness intimidation statute. And I think we can all agree they're necessary because you don't want, mobsters and gangsters to be able to tell witnesses that you better change your testimony or else I'm going to break your legs. Like that's a lawless society if we have that, right? So I get it. Physical threats of violence, no go. But in Massachusetts, our witness intimidation statute is the only one in the country that says that not only can you not cause physical threats to a witness, but you can't cause emotional harm or financial harm to a witness either. And what the hell is emotional harm? It's subjective, right? Like whatever the witness claims is they're harmed by is a crime. So they took this statute and they're like, wait, we can exploit this language to our advantage. And so they took all these McAlberts and Michael Proctor and his wife, and they said, and Yuri Buchanan, and they brought them all in front of a grand jury and they gave them a script. And each person in front of the grand jury read the script, and the prosecutor, you know how these grand juries are. There's no defense team. There's no judge. It's just a one-sided thing, and the bar is probable cause. And you have 25 people in a grand jury who don't really know the law, and they're just like, they hear one side of it, and that's why they say you can indict a ham sandwich. So, they bring this in there, and each of these witnesses gets up on the stand, and the prosecutor says to him, okay, so he's asking you questions. He's doing this. He's calling you. He's making fun of you. Why do you think? What's it done to you? And I'm scared. I'm sad. Like Colin Albert testified that he was sad, that he cries, and it's so the emotional harm part of the statute then is satisfied because they're sad, and then comes. But you also have to have in there that the person did it, that you intimidated them for the purposes of interfering with the trial. So that's the other part they have to satisfy. So each of them, the next part of the script was, why do you think he's doing this to you? He's doing this to me because I am a witness in the Karen Read trial and he does not want me to testify. Boom. There's probable cause. Okay. Somebody has now said this. So I get indicted for this, and they give me the full treatment. Like they could have just sent me a summons and I would have showed up to court, but instead they got all theatrical. And they sent
about that.
No, it's all good.
Just kicked myself out. That was great.
So they sent the fugitive unit to my house instead of sending me a summons at my kid's bus stop. I get my kids on a bus every morning, and then I start walking up my driveway. This truck pulls up, and this guy gets out of it named Sully, And he's like, hey, I'm like, can I help you? He's like, yeah, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Jeez.
And I'm like, for what? And then Brian Tully, Michael Proctor's boss, jumps out of a truck, and then 6 other cars roll up. And it's all these people I've been writing about that are involved in the Karen Reed case. I live an hour away from Dedham. They're not even in my county. And so they're there. And I'm like, what am I under arrest for? And they go, Brian Tully says 9 counts of witness intimidation and 4 counts of picketing and 1 count of conspiracy. I said, picketing. Picketing. You realize, like, we're in Massachusetts, right? Like, home of the Boston Tea Party, like tarring and feathering tax collectors. Like, this is Massachusetts. You know that, right? Like, we're allowed picketing. I can't picket someone. Apparently not if you're a witness in this state. You're not allowed to protest them at all. I mean, somebody should tell, like, Derek Chauvin had people outside of his house in your state, right? Before he was arrested, right? That's illegal in Massachusetts because he was a witness in his own case and people picketed at his house. You couldn't do that in Massachusetts.
That's crazy. I mean, like, obviously, if someone is picketing in some aggressive or threatening manner, or, you know, even potentially some sort of defamatory manner, something like that, you could expect that First Amendment protections would weaken. But if it's just general, hey, this guy seems like a scumbag, why would we ever stop that? Like, that's the entire purpose of free speech, especially when it involves government agents.
Right.
And that's been the hallmark of the Karen Reed case, is like, all of these people are government agents. All of the people involved in the potential conspiracy, I'm willing to say it's not an alleged conspiracy. I'm willing to say it's the full-on conspiracy. But all of the people involved in the conspiracy are either directly government agents, or they're related to or married to a government agent in a like one-step relationship away.
Yeah.
And how could you get all these witness intimidation charges? I watched the second trial. Most of those people weren't witnesses, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, the statute also covers potential witnesses, whatever that is, family members of witnesses. That's why I picked up a charge with Elizabeth Proctor. She's not a witness, but her scumbag husband is a, disgraced ex-cop. So she gets on the list. And anyone who plans to attend a court proceeding. So anybody who sat in a courtroom is covered under the witness intimidation statute as well in Massachusetts. So it's like the entire town of Canton, basically. I can't go anywhere near. Yeah. So, like, for instance, the big thing that they got on me, right? A couple things, like, in June of 2023, I knew Jennifer McCabe's kid had a lacrosse game in Billerica. So, I'm like, she'll be there. Jennifer McCabe will be there in the stands. So I'm going to go there and buy a ticket, and I'm going to ask her why she Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. So I go up, I do it. I film myself. I go up to her. I ask her that. Yeah. She's laughing about it. Matt McCabe pushes me, calls me fat. And, I'm like, look at yourself, pal. And then I end up 5 minutes later, like, I caused a disturbance, right? But you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to ask people questions. And then I leave and I start calling them cop killers, and I leave. And that got me, I'm facing 20 years in prison for that, because each charge is 10-year maximum prison sentence. And there was 2 witnesses there, Matt and Jen McCabe. So that's one thing. Then there was, on July 22nd, 2023, I organized what we called a rolling rally through Canton. I announced I was coming ahead of time, and I led a caravan of like 100 people or so. And we started at Brian Albert's house, and then we went to Michael Proctor's house, Jennifer McCabe's house, and Julie Nagel's house. And we peacefully, outside of their house for like 7 minutes, I had my megaphone and I said, okay, this is the home of Brian Albert. Brian Albert never came outside that night. Brian Albert was sleeping, claims he slept through the whole thing, but we know that John was in the house, and what did he do to him, and blah, 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 blah. All I did is just talk about the facts of the case. None of them were home for this. Okay. And and then we went on to the next house. Like, the rolling rally had little old ladies and kids, and it was a beautiful day. And we got the police call logs from that day. Not a single person called the cops on us. Like, nothing about this was illegal at all. And then 3 months later, the cops show up at my house, and they're like, actually, that was felony witness intimidation and picketing. So now I'm facing 105 years in jail collectively for, essentially making comments on my YouTube show about these people, calling them on the phone and asking them questions in person that making them feel uncomfortable and doing this rolling rally.
That's wild. I want to clarify one thing. You said the one thing they got you on. You don't mean they've got you on it. You mean that was how I assume how the grand jury got to the probable cause charge, right? Like that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I forget what context I used it in, but that is what I meant. The got me on means like they've charged. I just
I don't want any asshole to like clip some part of this stream and be like, aha, there's an admission, because it wasn't an admission unless you're dumb. So.
Well, but it's funny you bring that up, because largely when they introduced these videos to the grand jury, like they took clips from my show, and I did an hour-long video. It's on my channel. I could send it to you that kind of summarizes, and it shows what they charged me with. And they would take things from my show and just take them out of context. For instance, there was one quote where I say something to the effect of, I'm going to come back to Canton all the time. You haven't seen the last of me. You know, you think I'm going to be there all the time. I'm going to do this and this and this. And they take that clip and they make it seem like I'm talking to the McAlberts, like I'm like harassing them and following them. If you actually play the video, I actually go down to the Canton DPW and I try to get some information on a public records request. And the lady there kind of like stonewalls me. She's like a government employee that just doesn't want to do her job. And I'm like, okay, lady, like with the boy's regular haircut, like, okay, miss, you think you've seen the last of me? I'll be back. And I'm talking to her. I'm talking to the lazy government worker, not one of the McAlberts. So they took things that I said completely out of context. They made them seem a million times more nefarious than they are. Another good example, right? So Colin Albert, I'm charged with intimidating him. And
Colin Albert's the son of
Chris Albert.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's how old is Colin Albert? Is he a minor still, or is he just over?
I think he's 21 now.
Okay.
But he was 17 or 18 at the time. He was inside the house when John got there. They've tried to hide that this whole time.
Yep.
He's a notorious hothead. So Colin made these TikTok videos which were introduced into evidence in the first trial, in which he like threatens this rival group of teenagers called the Advantage Boys, some hockey club or something from a neighboring town. And he's like, yo, you Advantage Boys, oh, fuck y'all bitches up. Yo, bang, I'll knock you out. Bang, bang. And it's like, so we call him Bang Bang because of the Bang Bang video that he made. And so I call Colin up and I leave a message on his phone. And I said, I did it on my show. I videotaped it. I'm like, hey, yo, Colin, it's Turtleboy from them Advantage Boys. Yo, bang, bang. Yo, we'll fuck any of you bitches up. Yo, dog. It's quite clearly a parody impression of Colin's own video, right? But they indicted me for that. And when the judge, like, I remember first day in court with this, the judge asks my attorney, and he's like, because my attorney was arguing First Amendment, free speech, all that stuff. And the judge says, Mr. Bradel, can you please explain to me how it's First Amendment protected to say, quote, yo, Colin, it's Turtleboy from them Advantage Boys. We gonna fuck you up, dog. Bang, bang. It's like, dude, first of all, you're killing the delivery. You're killing comedy right now in this courtroom. Okay. And
embarrassing joke, Your Honor.
Yeah. It's a joke that we're even here right now talking about the Bang Bang video. Right. Like, this is like supposed to be a serious hall of justice. And we're up here talking about an impression I did of Colin Albert on my YouTube show. I mean, are you kidding me? There's serious violent criminals out there who are roaming the streets of Massachusetts because our judges in the state are so lax and just don't believe that criminals should go to jail. They should get a million chances. But they throw the book at me because I have a YouTube show.
Well, you have a YouTube show and you're a threat to the established system, right? Like these people, I mean, many people out there believe specifically that that group of people are involved in the murder of a police officer, and then or at least at the very minimum, a cover up of the murder of a police officer. And so, or cover up of the death. It may not have been a murder. And that's the crazy thing. It might have just been, if two guys get in a fight and they get in a scrap and one guy falls and dies, it's not like anybody wanted to kill him.
Right. That's what I say. I'm like, I think it's fantasy to believe that they lured him over there for the purposes of murdering him. What are they going to do with the body? I mean, what's the plan?
Yeah, they didn't seem to have one because everything was so poorly executed. And their only saving grace is the fact that Karen Reed drove off after drinking. Now, we don't know how intoxicated she actually was. I'm a little frustrated with the, I get that the jury had to do their compromise verdict, and so they charged her with a DUI. I'm like, her BAC was measured 5 hours after driving, and there's no proof that she didn't consume alcohol in the intervening time. There's no testimony from anybody that, oh yeah, I was with her and she was not drinking at all the entire time. And she doesn't have to prove that she was drinking, during that period of time. It's just, that's reasonable doubt. And until they can eliminate it, she should have been not guilty there. Right. But that's kind of how juries work.
Well, that's like with that, if this was just a straight OUI trial, she would have been acquitted. Because for, it's a cottage industry, right? Like DUI attorneys, like there's a blueprint for getting your client. Anyone can get off a DUI first time, right? There's a million and one ways to get off a DUI. Like he was like I've had cops tell me that, like, I've had DUIs thrown out because I didn't ask the guy if he was comfortable in his shoes. Or like I didn't make him, like I didn't give him this test, or like there's just a million and one ways out of a DUI. So if they really wanted to press that, they probably could have gotten an acquittal on it. But they literally threw that charge onto there as bait, saying like, if you feel the need to throw the O'Keefe family a bone, throw them this bone.
Yeah, it's that was obvious. It's like, well, we're gonna get something on her. And it's one of the things that I really hate is this lesser included offenses, right? Because they charged her with murder by DUI. And then the DUI was the lesser included offense. Like, well, if you didn't find she murdered him, then she was probably drunk driving. It's like, okay, they didn't even make a case for drunk driving at all. But
well, she's the one that added the charge. Her team added that charge. That was not a charge in the first trial. But they had gotten a lot of juror feedback from the first trial, and the sentiment in the jury room, as wrong as it was that, well, we need to convict her of something for the O'Keefe family. We got to hook them up.
Gotcha. And okay, so I wasn't aware of that. And I'll mildly amend it. Lesser included should always be an option when they're agreed to by the state and the defense.
Right. Right.
But I hate them in general. When they're applied unilaterally by state. I wasn't aware that she was the one who put that in. See, I approached the second trial without any knowledge of the first one because last year I was kind of in a bad spot. And so I didn't follow it. But so I was like, okay, well, I'll be like a fresh juror coming into this who doesn't really know anything about it and is just watching it straight out. And it was wildly interesting, but there is, some people did bully me heavily into watching some stuff that was pretty great from the first trial.
Yeah, the first trial was way more entertaining than the second trial.
The state dragged the case out so long, and they had so many forensic analysts and experts who didn't really have much to say. And it's like, why couldn't you get someone to just say he got hit by a car and died? Like, here's why. Here's what's consistent with getting hit by a car, and the reason is he didn't get hit by the car.
Exactly. Like they had one witness that did that, Judd Welcher, and he wasn't very impressive at all. He did a blue paint test, and that wasn't exactly very inspiring or convincing. But the rest of them, all these criminalists from the state police who were, they're not in on any conspiracies. It's their job just to test evidence and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, so there was glass on the bumper, and yeah, this is taillight from her car, and it adds up. And like, we agree that's taillight from her car. The question is who put it there? Like, that's the real question, is how it got there in the first place. So we agree on all this. So it ultimately came down to, you're right, like what the theme of the defense was, there was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision. And they had 4 or 5 doctors, maybe more, who all testified that he wasn't hit by a car. He couldn't have been hit by a car. It's impossible. And their answer to that was to hire some guy for $400,000 named Judd and paint himself blue. Like, that was their solution to it.
That was amazing, though. It's like, oh, so this is how you fix the Blue Man Group. All I need is a Lexus with a broken taillight. I can strip those guys down, no problem.
What did that test prove? He's like, they didn't even have a crash dummy. They just used Judd. And he's like, all that proved is if you paint the taillight blue and then you put your arm on the taillight, your arm will turn blue.
Yeah, it was the big problem, the moment I saw his arm, I was like, that's a dog bite.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that that's anything else. And I could see maybe a small number of the lacerations being made by a jagged broken taillight, right? That kind of swipes across, but not a consistent pattern from lower deltoid to mid forearm. There's
the parallel matches, you know, like there's several pairs of them on his arm, right?
That's someone covering their like throat from a dog that's coming at them, because that's the reflex that everybody does is they put their arm.
Yeah, they put your arm up like, fuck, you know, and the dogs are trained to grab that. They grab on, and trained police dogs, that's the difference between Chloe and a trained police dog, is trained police dogs they're not going to let go. It's right. Like and they are going to have a strong puncture mark in your arm, whereas opposed to an untrained dog like Chloe, and you pull away and you're going to get boom. That's what's going to happen. It's going to bite again. It adds up perfectly to this. And his sweatshirt, of course, if it was cut by taillights, the sweatshirt would be cut up with like similar marks, right? Similar patterns. But the sweatshirt just said puncture marks, like because they're from a dog, because a dog bit John. And coincidentally, there was a man-eating dog in that house that had bit a whole bunch of other people and sent them to the ER that they rehomed. It was their family dog that they just got rid of. Who does that? Anyone with the dog knows how suspicious that is. I think that dog got rehomed into the dirt in the woods somewhere. That's quite possible. It sounds like, not to be insensitive, but it sounds like that was maybe the solution. I mean, if this is a routine menace dog, right, that most people's dog would be taken and put down by the state. Right. And exactly. But, you know, this was a problematic dog, but, you know, without Chloe doing that, ironically, Chloe helped John O'Keefe, because Chloe left her marks on John and made it obvious that John was in the house. Had Chloe not bitten John like that, it would have been a lot. Like, that was what sold it for me, was the arm pictures. Like, that's what Lord Alan Jackson did, was the arm pictures. So without that, without Chloe doing that, like, there would be a lot less evidence. Well, it does a whole bunch of things. One, it strips the story that the car hit him, because while a car could cause a laceration, the shirt sleeve would be absolutely shredded. It would be a mangled mess. Yep. And then the lacerations wouldn't have consistent patterns. They wouldn't be running parallel in the same way. So you have that. But then you also have this very convenient thing where a dog makes sense in the context of guy gets in a scrap because everybody's been drinking. And then the dog intervenes or moves to protect its master. Maybe the dog moved first. Who knows? But if he made some step that the dog misinterprets or interprets as aggressive, then it goes for the bite. He starts defending himself. He falls, hits his head. Done. You know, and that's over. But it looks like there was an exchange of at least
Turtleboy,
one.
I'm sorry I did your girl dirty. I'm a massive cunt.
What is that? Is that how your super chats work?
So I have this system called Super Tips, which everybody can do. But it's supertip.gg/RL. And if you send them in, there is a way to kind of skip the queue and play automatically. And it has a bunch of different AI voices. That one was Judge Bev. And you don't have to endorse any of the messages. But in case it was missed in the chatter, here's what it said.
Turtleboy, I'm sorry I did your girl dirty. I'm a massive cunt.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll allow it.
So anybody who wants to do that can go ahead and pop on over to supertip.gg and send us a message. I'm going to adjust one thing, though. There. But yeah, have fun with those AI things. Otherwise, Turtleboy and I are going to talk, and I'll make sure to play all of them at all the ones that don't have the skip queue at an appropriate time. But he's on a limited timeline, so we're not gonna like sit and do a bunch of super chats while you're here. I'll take care of those on my own. But that said, do check it out. So where were we? We were talking about dogs. We were talking about attacks. Oh yes, it does seem like one punch at least was thrown and landed pretty well above his right eye. Right, like there's a subdermal hematoma, which is if people don't know what that is, that's a pooling of blood under the skin.
Another win for the toe.
And then there's the gash in the back of the head too. You know, like that.
Right.
That does, as much as Hank tried to say it did not come from the frozen grass. Like,
not a chance.
Like it has to be something jagged. It has to be a stare, something rigid. Yeah.
Like, right. I was surprised he didn't argue, or they didn't find or place some, large, maybe 11-inch stone or something, like a piece of granite. Like Minnesota, there's a ton of granite around here. So we have these granite rocks that'll be, this big, that are kind of decorative in any sort of yard or rock bed. Like, oh, there was one of those there that he must have stumbled and hit. Like, that would have been much more plausible than this.
Did you see what happened when the jury went to do the home visit? All of a sudden that day, there was a rock in the middle of the yard that said Albert on it. The Albert family rock. Like, it just showed up on the day of the jury visit. No one
killed John.
Yeah, no one so the jury saw this. They were later told by Aunt Bev, like, please disregard that rock. It was not there that day. But what are they going to investigate? Who put that there? Like, how is that not messing with the jury? Like, talking about witness intimidation, that's interfering with the trial. Somebody put a rock there with the name Albert on it.
Carmelo Anthony to get his street cred back.
Oh my God.
Also, what the hell is a plevin?
Okay, hold on. I'm going to replay that because it came in at the end of your talking. One second.
Is it true that Brennan is going to rep Carmelo Anthony to get his street cred back? Also, what the hell is a plevin?
What's a plevin?
Plevin is this content creator who has this channel called Yellow Cottage Tales, and he is like the token voice of Karen Reed is guilty. He's just a complete fucking moron who just spews retardation every night on his channel, on his streams, and he has other like-minded stupid guests who just say really stupid things.
Lovely. That guy sounds like a gem.
Yeah.
It was hard to find anti-Karen Reed people. Right. Well, my Twitter's must be curated because I had only pro Karen Reed stuff for the most part. But then I saw a couple, you get the occasional person individually who comes in and is like, oh yeah, Karen Reed sucks or whatever, she's guilty. But they weren't typically larger channels that I would see. And then I saw a couple, like a couple lawyers or whatever who were supporting the Commonwealth. And I was like, what trial are you watching? Where are the facts? How do you guys not know the law? Like, have you not passed the bar? What's going on? Like, I'm
stupid people like Matt Tim Panic, that fat fuck, and a couple others. But they were like loser accounts with like not that much, because nobody wants to hear that. It's just stupid. Like, nobody believes that. Like, I've never seen. I mean, public opinion polls overwhelmingly favor the state in most criminal trials, right? Unless the defendant is extremely sympathetic.
Whereas usually right, like
right.
Usually right.
Usually the defendant is guilty, right? Like, so, and that's the thing that Karen Reed had going against her is we were predisposed to believe the defendant is guilty. So, but in this one, it was like 80 to 90% not guilty on every poll. Court TV, every law tuber with any influence, Emily Baker, lawyer, could go down the line, Ian Runkle, they all reached the same conclusion. And the response from the anti-Karen Reed people was like, grifters. Oh, you guys are just grifters. It's like, no, we're not stupid. Like, you got to be stupid to believe that John O'Keefe was hit by a car, period.
Yeah, well, I was waiting the entire time. I'm like, I didn't watch the first trial. People have told me there's no evidence, but I know how people get on these things, right? Like, I covered Kyle Rittenhouse, I covered Johnny Depp, and people get very, very, they get very insular and they close ranks, and they don't like if a bad fact comes up. A lot of people try and push it away. And it's like, stop. I mean, you got to accept the bad facts. None of these people are perfect. But that said, so I'm like, when I hear that there's no evidence that he's been hit by a car the whole time, I'm like, I mean, there's going to be something. Like, they're going to bring somebody, and they never did. I'm like, why is this case on? Like, what are we doing here?
They kind of hung their hat on the tech stream data. That's what they would always talk about. The tech stream data shows her going 39 feet in reverse or something at 12:31, and that's when his phone stops moving. Therefore, she killed him. It's like, but the tech stream data didn't record a collision. Wouldn't it record a collision? Isn't that kind of a big thing? Going in reverse at a certain point, there's a lot of explanations for why someone might reverse their car that don't involve killing someone.
Yeah, most explanations.
Yes, exactly.
Almost all of them.
And I would also argue that if she hit him with their car going at 25 miles an hour, as they ridiculously claim, in a snowstorm, and just clipped his arm and only his arm like a piñata, right? Then how come not a single person inside the house saw or heard this? And how come the cop who lived across the street, who's now the deputy chief, Tom Kelleher, who had a ring camera video pointed right at it, Why didn't that pick it up? And why didn't the police ask to look at that?
Well, no, because remember the guy who investigated him, who happens to be the direct subordinate of that guy.
Yes.
He was like, well, no, he wouldn't have the motion sensing on the ring because the cars driving by would trigger it all the time and then it would fill up on space. So I knew he didn't do that. It's like, what? God, I want that deference in everything that I do. Like, please treat me like that. Like, oh no, this guy couldn't have possibly done anything wrong. Like,
but if they were actually trying to get Karen Reed, if they were actually trying to build this, if they actually believed that she did it, they would pull they'd be like, give me your fucking camera. We're looking at it right now on Karen Reed's ride home from 34 Fairview to One Meadows Ave.
What happened to the peen counter? Also, did you load the kiddos up with enough cocaine they won't disturb the show?
God damn it.
Yeah. So on the 2.3 mile trip back to One Meadows Ave, I did that one time and I recorded every single house that had a Ring camera video. And I actually stopped at a couple of them. And I did this thing called journalism where I knocked on their doors and I asked them on camera, I said, I see you have a Ring camera video pointed directly at the street. Did the police ever come and ask to look at your Ring camera video? And the answer every time was no, they didn't. So if Karen Reed actually did this, there was 1,000,001 ways to prove that she did it. And for whatever reason, with the death of a police officer, they didn't do any of those things.
One question for you though, very serious. Were you armed with a picket at the time?
I did. I was not armed with a picket, so I was not charged when I did that.
You didn't write on a picket sign that said, like, does your Ring camera have these images? Like, you didn't
know, and they weren't witnesses. So
you said everybody in Canton.
I guess they're a potential witness.
Yeah, right. Like
exactly. A potential witness. So yeah.
The crazy thing is they are actually potential witnesses, right? Because their Ring camera could have picked up. It could have picked up something had any investigation been done.
100% they are. This witness intimidation statute is blatantly unconstitutional. And, we're looking to have it overturned. But the problem with that is you got to get convicted first. And I'm not trying to be the guinea pig for this. You know what I mean? No, so we are working right now with the state legislator out of Western Mass by the name of Nick Boldiga, who has drafted legislation to completely scrap the witness intimidation statute as it's written and rewrite it so that it's constitutional. And you know how this works is with the legislature, things get bogged down in committees. And so they're getting back to me when they can about when this will finally be heard. I'm not going to hold my breath over it, but hopefully my case, and I'm not the only one who has been charged with this. They lost their minds with this. Do you know about the rubber duckies?
I have heard something about rubber duckies. My wife loves rubber duckies, or like because they sell billions of them now, so that you can glue them to anything that you want to make annoying. Yeah. And so I'm always a little intrigued, but I'm also terrified of it. Tell me about it.
So there's a guy by the name of Rich Schiffer, who is a Karen Reed supporter and works owns a business in the neighboring town. He started ordering these like small little rubber duckies. And writing on the bottom of the duckies, he wrote "Colin did it" or "Free Karen Reed." Those are the two things he put on the rubber duckies. And he starts sprinkling them kind of all over town, like the rubber ducky fairy, like in and around where Chris Albert worked, wherever McAlbert's were. He kind of sprinkled these rubber duckies, hundreds of them. And it became a thing. And the police launched a 6-month investigation into this guy. They got multiple subpoenas for his vehicle, for his business. They searched his business. They searched his house. They went through his trash. They dumpster dived. Police from Canton, Stoughton, and a couple other agencies. And they put this 6-month investigation together. And then they charged him with witness intimidation for rubber duckies because he wrote on the rubber duckies, "Colin did it." And this caused emotional harm to Chris and Colin Albert. And because of our witness intimidation statute, if you feel that you are experiencing emotional harm and you believe that they're doing it to try to prevent you from testifying, then you can have anyone you want arrested for witness intimidation. And he was. And he had the same lawyer as me, Tim Bradle, and Tim Bradle got that dismissed on the first day. So this whole 6-month investigation was just thrown out immediately. but because they don't want Rich Schiffer, they want me. Like they want the guy with the YouTube channel. They want the guy with the influence and the loud the microphone. That's who they want to silence.
Yeah, it's wild how intimidated they are by someone who speaks, and then people listen to them. Like it's pervasive as far as I can tell. I do love making everything about me. In my own case, we got to this one place during our family court case, because since my wife and I both got arrested, they took our kids for a little while, which was a mess. And during that case about the kids, all the lawyers went into chambers, and out comes my lawyer, and he says, "You won't believe this. One of the people on the other side said, well, we really don't like what he says online." And I'm sitting there like, you're talking to the judge saying that, like, that's a direct violation of my First Amendment rights. Like you're pressing this because you don't like what I say online. Like that's the impression, but nothing in chambers is recorded in Minnesota. So there's no way to actually like prove that out. And I'm relying on the account of my attorney who's saying it, but I have no reason to disbelieve him. And what you find is like, you don't have to have much influence to terrify these people, because the influence that they have is like 12 people. Right. And so when they see someone who can talk to 10,000 people, it's like, whoa, that's a lot of people. That's how the law is applied, is based on influence. It's like if I was a nobody with a couple hundred subscribers, they wouldn't bother with me. I mean, that's how selective this is that they just go after you because of this. And they've said this in their pleadings. It's like, he has an army of people. He's got a mob of people. He can do this. He can do that. That does your First Amendment rights don't cease to exist based on the size of your audience. That's not how the founding fathers wrote the Constitution, but that is how, like in the internet age, that's how they've framed it. Like, oh my God. And I've said on my show before, and these are the things that have got me into trouble. I was like, I go, if I were them, I said, I would be scared of me too. Not because I'm a physical threat, but because I'm relentless and I'm investigating you and I'm putting the truth out there and I'm exposing, and what they should be worried about is going to jail. I'm like, so right. That's the fear of going to jail is not the same fear as the fear of getting killed. Okay. And it's like, if you committed a crime, you should fear going to jail, I would argue. So I have to ask this very important question, because I have not heard that you have a mob or an army of people. I have heard that you have a sex cult full of people.
I do have a sex cult every Thursday night at 9:30. Things get freaky in sex cult. It's a members only thing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Yep. Things get hot and heavy in there. It was called Turtle Club for a while, but it's funny. Like there's this woman who's just obsessed with like dedicating her life to hurting me and destroying me. She's just obsessed with me. Her name's Kate Peter. We call her Krusty Panties. And she, you don't want to know that story. So she,
yes, I do.
she called she calls me. She's like, oh, he's running an online sex cult. So I just kind of embraced it. And I'm like, yeah, let's call it. This is a sex cult. So you guys have to do what I say here.
I was accused of having one too. It was interesting. I was like, well, I didn't know. Like, I'm missing all the meetings. This isn't fun.
Yeah. So,
but you've now that you found your sex cult, you're like, okay, well, I'm in.
Once you start running a sex cult, there's really no reason to give it up. It's a great thing. I dreamed of, when I was a boy, of growing up one day and running an online sex cult. And here I am living the dream. So why would I quit?
So I have my papal mitre back there that I wear for a certain segment of the show. And the story behind it is it was actually used in a blood magic sex cult by like the leader. Like that's the thing. I'm like, oh God. Well, there's probably demons in it.
Well,
I hope they're hot.
I guess you can relate to me. So,
man, it's kind of wild. I want to go back, because I don't know how many shows you were on before mine when this first kicked off. But Lauren De Laguna's like, hey, I know this guy. He's covering this big thing unfolding, and can he come on your show and talk about it, or you should invite him on? I don't remember how she asked, but I was like, sure, sounds great. This is 3 years ago. I hadn't heard anything about it. I hadn't seen anything about it anywhere else, but I want to go back to that moment. Like so you're on my show and you're talking about this thing, and this is at the point where you are diving in and investing yourself fully in, the fight for this woman's life. And I guess the fight for accountability of the Canton police, right?
Yeah.
Do you regret that decision in the slightest? Would you have done anything differently?
No, I mean, I get asked that question a lot about like, what would you do differently? And like, I don't want to be arrested. Like I also went to jail for 60 days and, I constantly, they've tried to revoke my bail 3 more times since then. Luckily it's been unsuccessful. So I don't like that. And I don't want that to happen. It was hell, I was arrested. I went to jail the day after Christmas. Being away from your kids for 6 days is hell, and I don't want that to happen again. But at the end of the day, there was nothing I could do to prevent this. I haven't broken the law. Like the type of activism I did with this story, I've done with plenty of other stories before. I've been doing this for 11 years and it didn't become illegal until I started criticizing powerful people. Like suddenly I've been going after, food stamp queens and ratchets and people scamming the government and you name it. Like I've been going after lowlifes for a long time. But the second I go after like, legitimate members of society and elected officials and cops, then all of a sudden it's a crime.
Okay. I had forgotten. You used to do like Ratchet Watch or something.
Yeah, like that was my bread and butter was ratchet shaming, like they didn't like exposing scammers, a lot of BLM scammers like that. Like, and there was plenty of those, like people making all this money off of like DEI and grifting and all this stuff. Like that was my forte. But so I was on the side of the police, usually I was a defender of police, especially during the BLM riots and all that stuff. Cause I'm right wing. Like, I generally support the police. So I'm usually on the opposite side of this issue, but this case was just so unique because it was just so obvious that this woman didn't do it that I'm like, oh yeah, we're running with this. This is undeniable.
Okay. Do you have a unified theory of the case? Like of what happened that night? Because like I have a theory, I'll run it by you, but I'm curious what yours is if you have one. Because it's easy to say, well, maybe some scuffle happened and he fell and hit his head. It's like, okay, but like what is the full context, the full picture of it? Do you if you have some summarized version of it, I'd love to hear it because you're the guy who knows everything about this.
So again, my theory is no better than anyone else's theory, has no more legitimacy than anyone else's, right? So like, but I don't generally spend too much time talking about it because as long as he goes in that house, it doesn't matter who hit him. They're all guilty because they're all joint venturers, right? So like, I think though that the most plausible explanation was that Brian Higgins is wasted and he's trying to bang John O'Keefe's girlfriend. And John O'Keefe's
trying, kind of.
And in the waterfall, there's they're yelling at each other at the end there, and John's taunting him. It's all on video. And so he gets to the house and he walks in, and an argument happens. Everyone's 6'2", 240 pounds. Everyone's drunk. Everyone's Irish, and what do you think's going to happen? A fight's going to break out when something like that happens. And I think the fight involved Brian Higgins, and Colin Albert. And I think those three particularly because the way they've tried to act like Colin Albert did nothing wrong is so suspicious. How they didn't talk to him. If nothing happened in that house, if John didn't go in that house, why are you hiding the people who were inside that house as witnesses? And Colin's history of fighting and his tough guy thing. So I think he was involved. I think Brian Higgins is involved because he's got motive. But if Brian Higgins did it by himself, it couldn't be him because the McAlberts would just sell him down the river. He's not family. Right. Fuck him. So that means it has to involve Higgins and members of the Albert family, which is why I think Colin and of course Brian Higgins is his homie, Colin Albert's his nephew. And the fact that the dog was involved means that Brian Albert's probably involved because dogs are trained to protect their owners.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I also know that Brian Higgins can't be the guy alone because he cannot pull the trigger at all. Because I listened to all those text messages and that man cannot pull the trigger.
No, it's bad. But he's also like guys like that have like incel like vibes to them. Where
Oh,
they're just,
yeah.
you know what I mean? They're like, fuck him. Like, why don't I have the girl? Like, I'm way nicer a guy.
I'm a
Those text
fun guy.
messages
I'm a ton
were
of
so
fun.
gay. It was like virgin shit. Like the things that he was saying in those messages, like, bro, are you gonna stick it in or not? She's begging you to do it. Like, she's like begging you. And you're like, do you think I'm hot? Really? Oh wow. We're like, well, let's talk some more about you want to be in a serious relationship? Like, dude, can you fuck her first? How about
Like,
that?
just
Like, what are you
she's
doing?
like, hit me like a pump jack. What are you doing? Get over here and bust me apart. And he's like, well, what would happen if I do?
I know. It's like, dude, what are we doing? So I could see that. Like, and I think that when he went out that night, you know, he texted her at 11:30 while she was at the bar with John, and they're all over each other. And he writes, well, and he hadn't texted her in a week prior to that. So he's like mad. He's like drunk, and he's like, well, I thought you liked me. I thought you were breaking up with him. And he's, you know, John, who maybe John knew about I don't know, but he gets back there, and I think words were exchanged. I think a fight happened, and I think it was an accident. I think he fell down, hit his head on a stair or some sort of ridge surface like that, and it was just a bad angle, hits him in the back of the head, knocks him out, and then they're like, fuck.
Okay.
Fuck, he's Boston police. What are we going to do?
So I'm with you on all this 100%. My question is, what's going on in the house? So there's a bunch of people in there. There's a bunch of people in there, and all of these people seem to have some sort of romantic connection, at least in their past or in their present. Karen Reed is obviously mad at John as she's talking in Brian Higgins' text. And it seems like she's trying to get revenge for him cheating, right? Like that's what it seemed like to me, is that Karen's mad that John was making out with the other chick in the
I think she was doing it because she wanted to have an ego boost. She's just like, see, I can, you know, guys think I'm, you know, made her feel good about herself having this poor sap, you know, tell her she was hot.
Well, and also, I think she wanted it to get back to John because of there's an interesting part early on in their text messages where she tells Brian Higgins basically like, and you're going to talk about it. And he's like, no, I'm discreet. And she's like, I talked to John. Like he's told me all about how discreet you are and like how you talk about this all the time type thing. So, to me, it looks like she's trying to get some, revenge because she and John are non-exclusive, but I think she wanted to be obviously exclusive with him, and he wasn't progressing at the rate that she wanted. And that set her off. Like, that's what it seems to be there. But then there seems to be all this intertwined stuff. And there's rumors of like, sort of some, we'll say, indiscreet behavior between all of these people. Do you think there's any credibility to that?
I've heard those rumors, but I don't like to talk about or say things that can't document.
Right.
The swinger stuff. Like, I don't fucking know. Maybe, I mean, and honestly, if they were, good for them. It's none of my business. I don't care. I don't want to know. All I care about is who killed John O'Keefe. Right.
And I don't have any information about it, but it was such a pervasive theory that I was like, maybe there's something more that I don't know. So I was just curious because
I think it was just simple. It's just a bunch of testosterone and alcohol in a house together,
right,
and a bunch of big dudes, and an accident happened. That's all I think. And then instead of just calling 911 and saying this is an accident, like shit, like they were like, I don't want to go to jail. Like that was their immediate thing, was self-preservation. And it makes sense. Like all these people that say this conspiracy is ridiculous. It's like, bro, do you want to go to jail? Because Brian Albert doesn't want to go to jail. We know what happens to cops in jail. And he's like, first thing, he's like, well, this was a complete accident. Let's just put him out on the lawn and say he never came to the house. It's so simple, and it worked.
Right. And again, because Karen Reed drove off, she'd had several drinks that day. That once the panic sets in, they're looking for something. Like, we have to have something that happened. She becomes a plausible sort of scapegoat at that point. I don't think, because I think there's a lot of people I've seen who think that this is a full-on conspiracy to get Karen Reed for some reason, which I don't see any evidence that makes any sense. It seems like she's just a convenient target.
Yeah, she's the fall guy. She was they got lucky when she backed into her John's Traverse going out and cracked her taillight. That was a stroke of luck. I think the original plan was to blame the plow driver and just throw him right near the road and be like, wow, what the fuck happened to him? Holy shit. What, did he get hit by a plow? Oh my God. Maybe they didn't see him. he was wasted. Maybe he was stumbling around. I don't know what happened. And it's like, they probably told themselves that like, that's easiest solution. Nobody goes to jail over that. The Plow driver doesn't go to jail. Karen doesn't go to jail. We don't go to jail. And then when Karen cracked her taillight, like they just went in a different direction when they saw that.
Yeah, and this is not meant to be disrespectful to the Plow driver in any way, but he has a cadence in the way he talks that one makes him very sympathetic, but two might make it easy for a jury to pin him as incompetent. Like it's just the way he talks. He sounds.
Well, the first jury, based on first jury, from the feedback from the first jury, they told me that they thought he was the worst of all the witnesses. Which really? And I was like, what? That's fucking crazy, because
I thought he was a great witness.
I thought he was great. Yeah, he was better in the second trial. He was good in the first one, but he was even better in the second trial because he comes across as authentic. And
he does.
Like, there's no reason. This guy knows the McAlberts. He's grown. He's a townie. He's got no reason to cover for Karen Reed at all.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is like it seems like if they went after him, if he's in the defendant's box, right? It seems like he's a sympathetic character to say an accident occurred.
Right.
Like
yeah, exactly.
He'd be acquitted by the jury. They'd say like this guy's just a guy out here doing his job. What I loved about him is like he had this sort of simple cadence to his manner of speaking, but he seemed wildly competent and in what he did know. Oh, yeah. And he had very good recall on the memory. And he's like, I drive by these houses every day, all the time. I would notice if something was there, and there was nothing there. And like when he said that, I'm like, I believe this guy immediately.
If all government workers took their job as seriously as Lucky Loughran does plowing the roads of Canton, our society would be a lot more functional, right? And he was a soldier on the stand there. Like Brennan tried making his testimony all about me. I was in the courtroom for it. It was extremely awkward. And he was like, so weren't you like threatened into giving this testimony? Weren't you intimidated by a blogger? Weird. And I'm like in the courtroom, and Lucky, to his defense, because Lucky's a man and not a coward like Chris Albert and Colin Albert, he goes, no, I don't feel intimidated at all. Because he has pride. And he's like, no, he was not intimidating me. He did not make me say that there was no body on the lawn. I said that there was no body on the lawn because my Franken truck thing sees everything, and there was no body on the lawn. So what do you want me to say?
Yeah, that was Brennan did that to him, and there were a couple other witnesses that he really tried to just bully. And I was like, this is not working for you. One, that'd be like me trying to bully someone. Like I'm a slim, slender guy. The only thing I have is being tall. I'm not big and imposing. So it's like, especially in the dynamic of a courtroom where you're so far away, it's like, Brennan, what are you doing? Like you're bullying these people, and it seemed needless. But Bev Canone let him do it over and over and over again. And I thought that was the way she handled the prosecution was very disgraceful, and it became apparent that she had a significant bias the entire time. I mean, it ends up mooting itself, right? Because she was acquitted, which is great. But at the end of the day, like it seemed like that woman wanted her to take the fall for this, no matter. And I don't know why.
No, because she's just a hack. I mean, that's all it comes down to is she didn't like Alan Jackson. She didn't like she's very provincial. She doesn't like his California style and his flair, bringing it to her courtroom. And she just wanted to remind Alan Jackson that you may make 10 times what I make and live in a nicer house than me and have a much higher profile than me, but I'm the queen bitch of this courtroom. Okay. And you're going to remember that. And it was just a constant reminder to him. She just didn't like Alan Jackson, and she didn't like Karen Reed. And you're right. She let Hank do whatever he wanted. I mean, some of those comments about like that he would constantly say, oh, you don't like that question? You don't like that question? It's just like, insane. What? But it backfired because based on juror feedback we've heard, like the jury thought he was a dick. Like, like, you look bad doing that to little old ladies like Dr. Marie Russell, like and Dr. Wolf. Like everybody loved the Crash Daddies, and you're going to start shit with them. You're going to look like a dick.
Yeah, those guys were virtually unassailable. Like they're well put together, handsome, articulate, very, very qualified. And you can tell that they actually put together something that looks like they were trying to figure out if this could have happened in any way.
Right.
And for the prosecution to go after them as hostile and in the pocket of the defense didn't make any sense. One, when you find out that, of course, they're typically hired by the U.S. government to do their investigations. Yeah. So they're normally on the state side. And two, when you look at it and go, it just looks like they were trying to find out if this could have happened. And the only conclusion they could come to is we can't find it. Like,
yeah, and that's why he didn't try to attack their methodology too much. He talked about like the weight of the arm that they used on the dummy, Randy.
Which is why,
it's like, instead, what did he focus on? Ham sandwiches. I mean, that was the most absurd question of the entire trial, was the ham sandwich line, and Signal app. You ever use the Signal app? Like it sounded so boomerish. Like, this was a young jury. Probably a lot. I use Signal all the time because it's encrypted. Like, it's the most American way to communicate is through an encrypted app, because it prevents the government from intervening and going into your phones. It's like all these people, like, why aren't you using something that the government can read? It's like, because I'm an American motherfucker, because I don't want you going through my phone and reading my shit. How about that? Like,
well, the crazy thing is now even the major, the major messaging apps tend to have a voluntary encryption, and it's purportedly end-to-end encrypted. And it happened after they basically went after oddly enough, it happened after the San Bernardino mass shooting when everybody found out that, they actually can just crack the phone in like 10 seconds. And then all of a sudden, Apple changed their encryption on messaging and their encryption in their login sort of process on the back end to make it a little more secure, because they got hammered really hard on the idea that the government might be able to get access through Apple's permission. And it's like, so then we watch this cascade of the major companies all going, actually we want people to value their privacy, and they see that as a bonus added. So it's like Signal is, I think, one of the best apps for security and privacy, but it's not like, I mean, you could just as easily use WhatsApp or Telegram or Facebook Messenger,
call someone, or meet them face to face. Those conversations are not memorialized in writing. Is that nefarious? Like, if you talk to somebody on the phone, if you meet up with them and have coffee with them, is that shady because you're not writing it down and giving it to daddy government? It makes it like, it's so ridiculous. That's all Hank had on these guys was like, did your wife join a Facebook group? I mean, when he's like, my wife, the guy looked at him like, you're talking about my wife, motherfucker? Oh,
yeah, that was a bad move.
Yeah, dude, you look like such a douche doing that. So, it was a dirty, dirty, dirty prosecution. And it was so satisfying that he lost. Like, that's what, like, Adam Lally, as boring and mundane as he was and as bad as he was at his job, he got a hung jury. That government worker making $130,000 a year got a hung jury. And then Hanky comes in here making 10 times that, right? Because he's the closer. He's Hanky Brown, he's Whitey Bulger's shady mob attorney. And he's going to get Cameron Reed. He couldn't get one. He couldn't get 1 out of 12 to say that John O'Keefe was hit by a car. So what a loser. I just can't emphasize that enough. And if I ever see that guy in public, I'm like, you are a fucking loser. Everywhere you go, people just follow you around. You lost. You sucked off the taxpayers or nearly $1 million and that we could have used to fill potholes or hire teachers or God knows what, to lose. You're a fucking loser. Give that money back.
No, I agree. He within the bounds of decency, public decency, should be ridiculed for what he did, and that's not because he was a prosecutor or a special prosecutor. It's because of how he conducted himself in the courtroom, and it was, it was unethical. It was improper. I think it was actually malpractice for the Commonwealth, but I don't really care because Karen won. I don't really care. Like. I don't know who they'd go after. I guess him and his license, but it's not really that important. So as you've been going through this, and you've been in this for 3 years, like at the maximum depth, and in your own liberties on the line because of your involvement, how like emotionally invested were you waiting for the verdict to come through on the first and second trials? And did that change at all between the two of them?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, the first trial was just 5 days of waiting outside and then nothing happened. Right. So,
Right.
I was ready for it, but that moment never came. When you hear the verdict is in, that's when shit gets real. So like, that's a small courtroom. Being inside that courtroom, when we got called in, they're like, holy fuck, there's a verdict. It's like, this is going to have finality. I've invested everything into this for 2.5 years. If she is convicted, I will be devastated and depressed. And I don't even know if I can face it tomorrow. I'm like, I don't even know if I can go fucking online again. Like, it's going to be horrible. But if she's acquitted, I am going to be the happiest person in the world. And so like, there's this huge swing that's about to happen. And you're in this courtroom, and Karen Reed and her defense team come in, and they have a lot of swagger and they're confident usually. And the cameras are off, and I saw them, and they were all hugging like they were never going to see her again, and like crying. And Alan Jackson, Mr. Confident, is walking around the courtroom by himself, just going like he was about to have a fucking panic attack. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah. And
then they call in the prosecution and the O'Keefe family, and then the judge comes in and the jury comes in, and I saw a couple of the jurors, 2 of them smiled at me. Right. And I knew this was going to be a good verdict. And they asked the foreman, who's this guy's the man. He's like this big black dude with like a chain and like dreads. He's awesome. And like, he read the verdict, and I was like, he was like, as soon as he said not guilty, like, you could see my face on the camera. I don't move. I'm just like, because I knew she was going to get not guilty on murder, but the big one was manslaughter.
Right.
And I'm trying not to react, because this is, the family's right there. I don't want to I don't want to cheer, nothing. And when they said not guilty for the second one, like, I was crying. Like, I was like trying not to cry, because it was such an emotional experience. And then when they announced the third one, that is when the crowd exploded outside, because it's on like a 20-second delay, and the windows started like shaking. Like, it was so loud. And it was just felt so good to watch it. And they whisked the media out of that courtroom so fast, so I didn't have time to like say congratulations or hug them or anything. And they led us down this like funnel towards the front door. And the guy who went in front of me, his name is John DePietro. We call him Baghdad Bob. He basically does propaganda for the government on his Twitter account. And he thinks Karen Reed's guilty.
Yeah, that guy's an idiot. I saw his Twitter account. I was like, this guy's legitimately a moron.
Thousands of people were booing him so he comes in front of me, he's going down the stairs, everyone boos him, and then he gets to the bottom, and I come out, and the crowd just fucking explodes like the Beatles. Like, it was crazy. And all this media came up to me, and was like, Fox News came over, did an interview with them, NBC, and it was I was on top of the world. Like, it was the greatest experience ever. And then when Karen Reed's team came out, they exploded even more. Like, it was surreal. It was like the most amazing thing to be part of.
Yeah, that's it's so cool, because you're in Massachusetts. It's the seed point of our nation, basically, and you're there, and you get to hear this voice of liberty. Like, because that's, to me, it's like rattling the courthouse windows with elation that the government lost is the most like red-blooded American thing I can possibly think of.
Yep.
And it's so wild that they tried to, buffer zone any of that out, because that's, they're terrified of that the entire time. And that power of this small group of people, well, I mean, large group of people, but relatively small when you compare it to everybody who could be there, just enveloping this icon of the state with relief that this person was not wrongfully convicted. And I am jealous of your being there for that, because that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. It was an emotional roller coaster being part of it. And I'm glad it's over, because I've always said, I'm like, get me off this ride. This is too much. I'm like, this is a fun time covering this. I was happy to do it, but it's like, this needs finality. I cannot deal with another mistrial and all this drama, and mostly I want to rub it in the faces of the people who lost. Like, that was the second most, obviously the first feeling is joy. Like, you're so happy for this person who's innocent and you were vindicated and all this stuff. And then it's like, now it's time to rub it in the faces of the losers, to go online and taunt these people and remind them every day that they lost. And I'll never stop doing that.
That's amazing. Look, we're at 8:22. I know you got to go to your next thing. So I have one last thing I want to say, and then one last question I want to ask, and then you're excused, I guess, if you want, or you're welcome to stay, of course. But I know you have to go on.
Sex cult, yeah.
It's very important. You gotta have the sex cult. Okay, so first, I really appreciated people have been like calling you out for not having interviews with the Karen Reed team and all of that stuff. And at this point in time, like everything's still fresh, and I can see plenty of reasons why they like don't go running to have an interview with you with your pending issues and all that stuff. And it feels like that's good for both of you guys at this point. But I really appreciated what you said in your response. And it was, hey, I didn't do this for Karen Reed or for like some sort of access to her lawyers. I didn't do this for anything other than it was the right thing to do. And it's the story. And that sort of purity of the pursuit of journalism was something I really, really appreciated. I love seeing that from you on Twitter. And that was a really cool tweet.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think I was going to make money off this or get a lot of fame or get a lot of followers. I just do what I normally do. I follow a good lead. This is a good story. As a journalist, you want to follow good, interesting stories. This is as interesting as it can get. If a side effect of that is, making money and getting more followers or whatever, of course you're going to take that, like that's part of the game. But that certainly wasn't my goal. And if they want to come on and interview, that's great. If they don't, then the show must go on. So it's fine either way.
And well, yeah, I mean, you said it. I was gonna add something, and then I was like, nah, it's good. it's just right on. So then on to my question. My question is, where can people find you? And what's on the horizon as briefly as possible? I know you teased something on Twitter that I was like, oh, that's perfect. That'll be great.
I don't remember what I tweeted.
The movie or documentary.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I am, I've signed a deal with Compelling Pictures. They're doing a documentary. It's going to be streamed on a major streaming platform. It's kind of the Karen Reed case through my eyes, and we're using that to build up the movie. This is the big project that we're working on. We've already got a writer, I'm told, a screenplay writer or whatever. I don't know how any of this shit works. He's talking to big name actors, actresses to play me, to play Karen, etc. So I'll be doing that. I'll be just, I've got another big announcement coming up for September. Something's going to be happening. And, I'm going to write a book about this, memorialize it, and write it. And that was the fun part,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so where's the best place to find you? People can find you on Twitter at Dr. Turtleboy, but where else is the best places?
Yeah, YouTube or Rumble. I'm at Turtleboy Live. On my website is tbdailynews.com. I'm on Facebook for the boomers that still use that, Turtleboy. So you can follow me on any of those platforms.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, one more thing. Your trial is coming up really soon, right?
Oh, no, actually, no, we're nowhere. I have a hearing date on July 7th.
Okay.
But these hearing dates are so mundane, and we're nowhere close to being ready for trial. So
are they
at least a year out?
Are the hearings are they broadcast?
Yeah, their media is always there. They're always streaming it. So I'm sure you'll be able to see it on whatever local.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely interested. Look, we've only met a couple times. We've talked behind the scenes a bit, but you seem like a genuine guy who's pursuing the purity of his craft, doing it at the highest level. You're objectively correct, like that this was going to be a big case. You knew it from the start. In part, I think you made it into a big case, and that's a good thing because I think Karen Reed needed all the support that she could muster outside of that courthouse for justice to be done. I think they wanted to slide something under the cloak of night, and daylight, of course, scares the rats away.
Yeah, we didn't let them. So thank you. I really appreciate that, Nick, and appreciate you having me on a couple years ago and having me on again to talk about this. So hope all is well with you, and maybe we could do this again sometime.
Anytime, man. Have a good night, and thanks for joining, and may the sex cult be prosperous.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, peace. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Aidan Kearney, Dr. Turtleboy. really good to talk to him after all this time. He's been through a lot. He's got a long, long way to go. If you like him, make sure you go and follow and support him wherever you may find him. If you believe that he's, doing things in the interest of journalism, if he's pursuing truth, those are things that should be easy to get behind. If you don't, that's fine too. But my encounters with him, he's come across as genuine and also like, amiable and just generally like someone I can support. And so, I encourage you to check him out and see if that's up your alley. With that, we did have some super chats come in, and I'm sorry, guys, I didn't read them during the interview. I knew that we were on a pretty crunch timeline, and so I wanted to make sure I can make the most out of my time with him. So let me get through some of these real quick, and then I'm not going anywhere yet. We've got more to talk about. We can talk about all sorts of stuff. I haven't actually watched the Karen Reed verdict, believe it or not. I have not watched it yet. I did not watch it offline. I'll watch it with you guys if you want. Although it's a little bit old now. You guys have all seen it. Rosemary J, welcome to Paralegal. Excuse me. Here comes the drama. Thank you for gifting a couple memberships. Angel Australia, thank you for gifting 6 memberships. Very awesome of you guys to do that. Thank you. Gotcha Son says, looking good, Nose Pope. Glad to have you back. Hey, thanks, brother. We've got the Squid says they tried to convict Karen on a different theory of second degree than what they indicted her on with the grand jury. The fact they kept constantly changing the theory and timeline is an injustice. I agree. The ability, I shouldn't say the ability, the way the prosecution took advantage of this early discovery ruling, which I still do not find any basis for discovery violation against the defense by Beth Canone. But the way that the prosecution took advantage of that and tried to use that to basically pull one over on everybody was just all around disgraceful. But I do think that the playing dirty can have an advantage, but it also has a distinct disadvantage the moment someone finds out that you are playing dirty. Back in law school, I had a negotiations class, and there was basically, do you take the high road or do you take the low road in negotiations? And then how do you deal with the other side when they are taking the low road and what you do? And the moment that someone catches on to the low road, you're done. If they're willing to call it out and shove it in your face, you've lost that position, and it turns out really, really bad. And so, seeing the state kind of get its ass handed to it because it took the low road in so many places, that the one thing you worry about watching from the outside is the jury seeing what I'm seeing? Are they privy to this? Because you don't know who the jury is, right? The jury could be a bunch of PhDs. The jury could be a bunch of, DHPs. I don't even know what those are. Nobody does. And so they could be completely moronic. They could be oblivious. They could be tired. They could be occupied. They could be distressed. Anything can influence how a juror is perceiving stuff. So you're on the outside watching this from the comfort of your couch or desk chair or, whatever, car while driving. I don't know. So you're watching along and you're outside of the courtroom environment and you're able to pause it or rewind or whatever. They're not. And so they have to deal with what they've got. And so you're always wondering, like, are they there? But it's very refreshing to see that it seems like they saw the state playing dirty and the state got handled for it. And that's how it should be. Squid also says, I was hit by a big white van going at least 25 miles per hour at 5 years old. I'm the anomaly that walked away without broken bones or head trauma. The anti-Karen Reed types want us to believe that John's arm is the anomaly, but not his head. That's kind of interesting. Kids seem to get out of, and this is just my perception. This is not medically or scientifically based, and I could be way off on this, but my perception is that kids seem to actually weather impacts with cars at an alarmingly better rate. It's almost like the smaller stature, of course, makes them vulnerable to a lot, but also it seems that maybe the energy transfer the total energy of the system is lower, and the ability to transfer the large amount of energy into the smaller figure is reduced. With older people, you have just the general degrading that starts to happen at a certain age. Like I'm terrified to fall over at 43, and at 23, like I had fallen in various ways, and you just get up and you're fine. So at some point you do become a little bit more frail and fragile, but also just the length of your bones, the size of your body is more surface area to make contact with a large object. So I'm glad, man, that you walked away. I wonder what the actual stats are on that. If kids do seem to weather those things better, like if I'm crazy, but I don't know. I think so, but I don't know if I'm crazy on that issue. If anybody has like a medical degree or whatever and can talk about it, that'd be awesome. Let's see. We've got some of these here. This one was received a week ago, but I haven't streamed in a bit.
Watching Kurt is kind of like watching Maddox. Both of them are genuinely entertaining until you realize it's not a bit.
With this verdict, Hank Brennan is realizing that his cannoli crusher might have been a bit too small to successfully pump his sweetened ricotta into her Canton clam.
Oh my God. That was horrible. Please never. Art the Clown says Gage from Pet Cemetery didn't do so hot against that truck though. Right. Like, and there is a certain point where anybody getting hit is going to just get annihilated. And I don't want to do that personally. MLS says this is for Aidan, not Nick. Nick can Venmo you, Aidan. I don't know what Venmo is. I've never used it. Sorry. You got to find someone in their 20s. Chad Parsons says, oh shit, I was starting to think you got arrested again. No. No, I've just been dealing with a bunch of different stuff. Plus, yesterday was a big day and something we're not going to talk about. But there was just a lot of drama leading up to it. MLS says the law there is so bad. Talking about Massachusetts. Cat's Pajamas is glad to see you, Nick. Thanks for having Aidan on as a guest. My pleasure. I thought the interview went pretty well. He seemed to be a good chap. One thing I did, guys. During the show, a couple super tips came through, and so I turned off the skipping the queue thing because I didn't want them to become a thing while Aidan was here. But I have turned it back on. So if you haven't ever tried out supertip.gg/RL, you can check it out. We've got some AI generated voices. Oh, hey, you know what? You know what's crazy? While we're on that subject, very briefly. I saw this headline one day ago. Maybe it was 2 days ago. Oh, wait, can I read a Fortune magazine article? I guess. Guys, I don't like being correct on these things, but what does this say? Here's the headline. A federal judge says training AI on copyrighted works is fair use, but casts doubt on the use of pirated materials, which is that's kind of like an insane proposition between those two, but okay. A federal judge in San Francisco has ruled that training an AI model on copyrighted works without specific permission to do so was not a violation of copyright law. Weird. U.S. District Judge William Alsop said that AI company Anthropic could assert a fair use defense against copyright claims for training its Claude AI models on copyrighted books. But the judge also ruled that it mattered exactly how those books were obtained. Basically, it seems like the judge is adopting this kind of unclean hands theory. Like, if you're going to steal stuff and then use it to train your AI models, maybe that's not okay. Alsop supported Anthropic's claim that it was fair use for it to purchase millions of books and then digitize them for use in AI training. The judge said it was not okay, however, for Anthropic to have also downloaded millions of pirated copies of books from the internet and then maintained a digital library of those pirated copies. The judge ordered a separate trial on Anthropic's storage of those pirated books, which could determine the company's liability and any damages related to that potential infringement. The judge has also not yet ruled whether to grant the case class action status, which could dramatically increase the financial risks to Anthropic if it is found to have infringed on authors' rights. In finding that it was fair use for Anthropic to train its AI models on books written by 3 authors, Andrea Bartz, Charles Graeber, and Kirk Wallace Johnson, who had filed a lawsuit against the AI company for copyright violations, also addressed a question that has simmered since before OpenAI's ChatGPT kickstarted the generative AI boom in 2022. Can copyrighted data be used to train generative AI models without the owner's consent? And the answer is overwhelmingly yes. Like the obvious logical answer should have always been yes. Anyone who says no is crazy, because this large language models mirror a type of human learning and retention and recitation. And that is that the gathering of information and then the interpretation and interpolation of that information into either a brain or, in this case, a neural network is just how things have to occur. Like, there's no way to determine from a large language model what comes out that is derivative of the work that went in. You're taking literally millions of works and saying, all right, we're going to put all of this in, and the large language model is going to learn how to effectively communicate in different ways, as many different ways as possible, but also in the most effective and common ways possible. It's going to do that, and then it's going to generate something new from all of the collective things that it had. It's funny how, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I seem to remember being told that I was not correct about that. Oh, that's kind of wild. It was wild to see the headline. I wasn't expecting a headline on this so fast, and I think what they're going to find is that stuff like this.
Nicholas Rackett, welcome back from your vacation. I'm sure nothing emotionally taxing or stressful happened while you were gone.
Please spill the funny DM you sent Megan. I asked, and she said she was keeping it private for your own good. Who does that sweet, medium, smart lady think she is? Feel bullied with my money, faggo.
I don't know. I have no idea what DM that would be. Funny DM you sent me. I probably send lots of funny DMs to me. I'm funny. I'm a lot of fun. I'm a ton of fun. No, I don't know what it specifically was, because I have no idea, what time it was sent or whatever. That's funny. I wonder what it is. Now I'm curious. I wonder if she'll tell me. Here we go.
Leighton Gay, what's up, Doc and the Pope? Let's get it on.
Ew. So the reason I bring up the AI copyright thing is much has been said about the use of voices, images, and likeness, and the use of copyright in regards to AI generated content for super tips specifically. You're wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change or whatever. But again, when you get into the logical process of this, you go, okay, well, it's not spitting out the book though. And you can't just determine that anything that comes subsequent to the consumption of a literary work is the product of that literary work. It's the product of the collective consumption of information that has occurred. Now, I guess if you only put in like one book ever to train the AI model, you're like, okay, I'm just going to use Stephen King's The Stand. And so then everything that comes out would be derivative of The Stand. But the second you add a second book, well, now you've intermingled the two works, and it's impossible at that point to even determine which is from one and which is from the other, coming back from the language model, right? So as you incorporate thousands to millions to eventually billions of written works, there's just no way you can possibly do it. Like, what if they just said, here's all of Twitter, incorporate all of Twitter into your large language model, and it just consumes 1 trillion tweets from the dumbest weirdos ever to the smartest people on earth, who end up kind of talking like the dumbest weirdos ever after a minute. And then you're supposed to figure out now what tweet is being regurgitated when I ask the AI a question. So I was right. Ha! Take that, you morons. Bulldozer74 says, I like turtles. Rated, I usually stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Central. Saturday is music requests and chit chat rock out with your cock out or jam out with your clam out. Only 2 options. So it's a pantsless stream from Bulldozer74, but those of you over on Rumble can check him out. Indoctrination says, free clash with Bayo. Bayo? Okay. Sounds good. We've got...
Yo, Turtleboy, my nigga, let me ask you a question. You think Karen Reed will let you sample that leaky balloon knock?
Oh, come on now.
I think she owes it to you, nigga. You need to go for that ass, my nigga.
I'm glad you didn't play that while he was here. Good Lord, you're making me blush. Jadine says, glad to see you back, Nika. I'm also 43. Feel to old age shit. Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. So one thing I can tell you guys is I also haven't felt well for about 3 weeks. And I have a couple issues. The one that has been giving me the most trouble, though, is
play the song. Play it loud and proud. I need to know how I will get more beach life than I can handle.
We'll play it in a minute. I seem to have a pinched nerve or maybe a herniated disc or something in my back that has been giving me huge problems. I woke up a couple weeks ago and couldn't remember how to walk. My legs just weren't going where they were supposed to go. It's been very frustrating. And so I have to get a full spinal MRI to figure out what's wrong back there. But I've been getting a little bit better. But near the end of the Karen Reed trial, it got really, really difficult to sit for 8 hours straight. I was trying to hide it pretty well, but I was very, very uncomfortable for those long streams. So I do apologize. And that's part of the reason I haven't been streaming as much, but things have been getting better with, I've been doing a lot of stretching, using my massage chair a lot as well. And just really focusing on, using muscles that my brain doesn't know how to use right now. So it's very weird. I hope that never happens to you because it's wildly frustrating and I'm kind of tired of it, damn it. But I'll keep you guys posted on that. I've been to the doctor, and been checked out and stuff. And he thinks it might be a physical thing. My tests are all good. So all that stuff, but it has been, that's been part of why I haven't been on.
Your hair is floofy. Another win for the toe.
My hair is floofy. I didn't put any hairspray or anything in it today. Also, so I went to the same person I've gotten the last several haircuts from, who I was like, oh, they do a good job. And they cut my hair in such a way that now I have to part it on the opposite side. I don't know how that even works, but that was awkward. I was like, I cannot get it to look in any way like how I want it to look, parting it on the other side. So I switched. Now I'm a villain. I don't know if they still do this, but what they used to do on movies and television shows is the heroic character would always part their hair to the right, and the bad guys would part their hair to the left. It was like a subtle nod. Well, left-handed people are disgusting and also evil. So that was the entire thing, was the idea of anything going to the left was bad. It was the 80s. What can we say? Might still be correct. But yeah, so now my hair parts to the other side and I'm now evil. So that's cool. You guys might not see it because I legitimately don't know which way it looks coming through. Because I have it mirrored on my side. I don't know. This isn't interesting.
Turtleboy, what the state of Massachusetts did to you was textbook micro penis energy. A lot like Kurt's cooking videos.
Oh, man, we only have a couple of those cooking videos left and they're all long, so I don't know what to do.
Nick, my golf app on my phone will tell me I'm 157 yards to
Yes.
the front of the green, 166 to the hole. How the hell can John's phone stop moving right around the flagpole and not move again all night?
Okay, so I actually have an answer for this. I want to open with the caveat of the state ineffectively tried to argue this. There is some truth to it, but I think the state was being dishonest in the information that they presented. That being said, it's the golf app or a hunting app or anything where precise location becomes more important demands from the phone to use its high precision location tools, including the gyroscope. Some phones have an altimeter, higher precision GPS data, and maybe even higher precision triangulation data from pinging different cell phone towers. So the app forces the phone in those cases to only use high precision data. Now, the state in the Karen Reed case was arguing that the phone was, for whatever reason, switching from high precision tracking data to low precision tracking data. That doesn't make a lot of sense in when you get into this concept that the car is in motion and then stopping and then starting again. Why the car would suddenly start switching to low precision data at that point, low precision positioning data at that point, because I'm not a software engineer, right? But my thought is, if something is in motion, and the phone is active and the movement is active, the higher precision becomes more important, especially if it's active in a way of stopping and starting. Now, if you're going 70 miles an hour down a highway with nothing near you, the precision on the data could be pretty low, and the app itself can interpret, like, we know there's a road here and we know there's not a road here, so we know where to put the car. But that doesn't seem like, in a neighborhood like that doesn't seem to be what would happen. So I didn't trust the state's explanation, but there is an explanation as to why you can get a golf app to give you very, very precise data, as well as and not maybe have the same precision on Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever. So I hope that helps answer your question.
I didn't mean to have a sex cult. It just happened.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Listen, Turtle, you give me grave concerns.
Bev's a weird character, man. Weird person. Eileen, welcome to Paralegal Status. Isaac says, I witnessed a Massachusetts DUI. Driver went off an embankment and left her car vertical. I stopped and jumped out to assist. Her first words stumbling, "Don't call the cops." Testified against. She got off. How you wonder how these people get out of this stuff. But there's probably some procedural mistake or something that happened. Cops had asked some bad questions, took some bad notes. Natalie McClendon says, killed in the shed, thrown in snow, and let dog attack mob. I don't know about the mob. I don't know if he was killed in the shed. I think he went to the house. Like, I think he went to the front door, even inside the house, maybe into the kitchen. I think his head got lacerated because he hit maybe a kitchen counter. I don't know if they have granite countertops or anything, or maybe a step somewhere. The other possibility is he made it to the front door. They open the door. Some heat happens, dog attacks, and then he falls back and hits his head on the walkway or something like that. But I don't know, man. There's I know the dog was involved, and I know someone punched him in the eye or hit him with something or right above the eye. And then I know that he has a laceration and a cracked skull that would lead to death. I know that because those facts were presented by competent witnesses at trial. What I don't know is how a car is involved. Rick Nikita said, did Captain Proton finally defeat Dr. Chaotica once and for all? I have no idea what that means. Yes. Sure. No. Maybe.
Turtleboy, what the state of Massachusetts did to you was textbook micro penis energy, much like Kurt's cook videos.
That was like the same one from before, but slightly different. Tech guy says no privacy meeting in person. Many phones have modules pre-installed that can listen without the app being installed or running. Facebook has one which is responsible for some creepy timed ads. Yeah, it really does. Like it's like, oh yeah, like I saw this particular brand of shoes, and then suddenly you get Adidas ads like more than a Somali town. It's amazing. Somalis wear a lot of Adidas around here. I don't know. It's not judgmental. Tech guy says apps with end-to-end encryption are defeated by the Google and Apple internet connected keyboard watching everything typed, even micropeen. There you go. But you don't have to use Signal on a phone or anything with a Google. It doesn't have to have a Google connected keyboard, right? Like you could just type it on a computer. You can use Edge. I don't know. Edge probably has something tracking as well. Well, you're in the Signal app once you're on your computer, so I don't know. Although I do wonder. Like I've been looking at these Copilot Plus PCs because AI is funny to me because of the thumbnails and stuff like that. And it makes me wonder. I'm like, wait, so the Copilot thing has the Copilot Plus from Microsoft has a feature called like snapshot or something where the AI takes constant snapshots literally of your computer and what's going on. I'm like, is that thing key logging? What's it doing? What you doing here? Tech guy also says, I think AI parsing images and using your likeness without permission would not be considered fair use. Bette Midler versus Ford would be a good example, as that was someone imitating her for an ad and Ford lost. Okay, we got to do this. I love you. But this is an important legal distinction that people miss. Using an image and likeness to try and fraudulently convey that someone is endorsing a product or service is wrong. Like that is wrong. So having trying to trick the audience into Bette Midler's endorsement of Ford is going to lose. Period. Because Bette Midler didn't endorse Ford. So it's not just that they use her name, image, likeness, or whatever. It's her right of publicity. It's her right to be in control of the things that she supports. Because what if she supports Ford and then Ford runs a swastika paint job on something? Because I think she's Jewish. Oh my gosh. So let's say Ford runs a swastika hood paint job, special edition on Mustangs or whatever. And then they have Bette Midler endorsing Ford. Then she's like, I wouldn't endorse that. That company is disgusting to me. Like, how can you do this? That's the problem. Using name, image, and likeness for anything else, comedy, parody, sarcasm, criticism, even just statements, as long as those statements aren't fraudulently inducing people to believe that someone is, endorsing something. But it's all in how much the listener, I guess, the audience, is supposed to or intended to believe that it's the person. And then, of course, how much they believe it is kind of evidence of how much they were intended to, right? But for example, on super tips, if anyone's under the impression that a super tip is generated and it's the person, like the way they come across the screen. So, and I know there's a very funny moment where when I was screaming at Keanu and I wasn't looking, that a super tip came through in Keanu's voice and I thought it was her. Yes. But of course, everybody else knew it wasn't, right? Like the audience there is not like, oh, that Keanu said that, because there's a little animated thing, there's a message on the screen, like all of this stuff happens. So no one's actually thinking. And if I had looked at it later, I would have known that wasn't her as well. No one's duped there. I'm duped in the moment, but that was my own uncontrollable rage or whatever that did that. So, but in general, the super tip system isn't being used as a legitimate endorsement from someone's voice. Like no one's like, if I have the Jesse Lee Peterson voice say, hey, listen, I need you to watch the Nick Rekieta show, Rekieta Law, because he's good people. Like if I had it say that, no one believes that Jesse Lee Peterson is like calling into the show and doing that. That's not how it works. There's just so many indicators that that's not the case. Also, we talk about it. Jadine says, Jadine has always been the villain. I gave your money before your troubles. I think you mean gave you money before your troubles. Hopefully not a factor. Here's some money for after. Well, thank you, Jadine. It's always appreciated very much. All support is appreciated here. And that includes just watching and also slapping that like button. Hit it. Hit that like button if you have not yet. And you're enjoying the show, of course. Leo says, I am excited to catch a stream. Do you have a stream schedule for the rest of the summer? No, I'm trying to work that out. I have a couple complicating factors. Like I have to start doing my community service like a common criminal instead of an uncommon one. I have to start doing my community service and getting on the ball there. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what and lock down a consistent schedule and consistent times, but I have other things that keep interrupting it.
I can't believe you brought up that cuck question, man. That's wild. Well, anyway, at least the world knows you don't have a Kurt-sized penis.
Well, you mean the question of like, was there some sort of I mean, he called it swinger activity. I don't want to limit it to that, but that there was something going on between the adults in that instance that went beyond, like the traditional understanding of relationships, maybe planned infidelity. I have no idea. It seemed like a bunch of people were fucking. Like that's what it seems like from the stuff that I've seen, and a lot of people seem to have that theory. So I didn't know if he was like more in tune with it. Plus, he has the sex cult joke, so I figured he'd be okay with the question. I hope it didn't offend too many people. Tech Guy says, thank you for the clarification. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's a complicated subject. And the only frustrating thing for me is seeing a bunch of fellow lawyers talk about it incorrectly because they have some personal reason for their answer. And look, you can say that I have personal reasoning because of my use of super tips or whatever. But I had the same position on, it wasn't AI, but I had the same position on name, image, and likeness and the right of publicity ever since the beginning of this channel, because I encountered it right away with the Dick Masterson lawsuit and Maddox saying, like, you can't use a picture of me. And the picture was Maddox being made fun of on a poster advertising one of Dick's live shows. And Maddox like, you can't do that. You can't. I didn't give you permission for that. It's like, well, you don't need permission to make fun of someone like that, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, hey, can I make fun of you? Can I just shit all over you on this poster? Is that okay? No? Oh, well, damn. And so I encountered this problem and did a bunch of research on it early on in the YouTube show because of the Dick and Maddox lawsuit. So I've read a lot about it. And the law is pretty consistent and pretty clear and has been through decades and decades and decades of celebrity voices being used. And if the celebrity voice is being used for an endorsement, the company loses. If the celebrity voice is not being used for an endorsement, the company wins, or who the user wins and the celebrity loses at that point. So, and this hasn't changed. Like the law on this has been steady for a really long time. And the distinctions where you do find a quote unquote inconsistent result are always so distinguishable from the original because there's no endorsement. There's no positive statement about some person or company that's being foisted upon the listening or reading audience. And what was it? Dior versus this is one of the major cases out of New York on it. Dior versus who was it? It was Jackie Kennedy, wasn't it? Shit. No, that's not it. Yeah. Dior versus Onassis. Onassis versus Christian Dior, New York. This is one of the cases that is, all about this concept. And this was, shit, hold on, I'm trying to find out. I'm just trying to find the date on this. obviously this was, 1984, for example. So, I mean, this thing's almost as old as I am. And that's not the first case. And you have Bette Midler, you have a couple other lawsuits where this happened, where they either they hired an impersonator because they didn't have AI, right? But I think the tip for people on this is to really just look at AI as a tool or an instrument of an impersonator. And it makes people really good at impersonations. And that's fine. But how you use that impersonation that's the important thing. Being good at impersonations and impressions, even making money off of them, is not wrong. There have been impersonation and impression comedians who've been successful forever and have very successful careers, and they make tons and tons of money doing specifically those impressions, right? Like that happens. I think everybody's aware of this. You can watch them. You can watch people do impressions and make money doing it all the time. And that's fine. AI just makes, it levels the playing field behind people who can do it naturally and people who can't. In the same way that AI levels the playing field between people who have a natural gift of art and people who don't. Like, I can't draw anything, but I have a vision of what I want to see on paper, and I can ask the AI to help me draw it, and it becomes a really effective paintbrush. Well, it's the same thing with voices. Now, if I ask it to recreate the Mona Lisa and then be like, this is mine, I guess Da Vinci's estate could sue me or whatever. But you get the concept, right? Like, if I'm trying to pass off a work as someone else's and I have the AI do it in that way, well then, yeah, case by case, it becomes copyright infringement. You can like they intended to do this. Look at the prompt he did. I want people to think this is from, I don't know, name a modern artist. But like that's not what most people are doing. Most people are just making art in a different way with a new tool. Let's see. True Truth for Liberty says, ever since the FKR movement chose Kelly Deaver. Oh, dang it. I wanted to talk to him about Kelly Deaver. Damn it. Kelly Deaver to be the next victim. The LawTube cesspool has been bubbling over with vomit. 2 wrongs, no right. I don't know what this means. Are you saying that what is that? Are you still around? True Truth for Liberty? What is that? What does this chat mean? Ever since the Free Karen Reed movement chose Kelly Deaver. Kelly Deaver was intimidated into lying by her boss. Like that's obvious, right? Does anybody not believe that happened? So then after they chose her to be the next, the LawTube cesspool, who's the LawTube cesspool? I mean, I have my ideas, but I think they're different. Has been bubbling over with vomit. 2 wrongs, no right. I'm not familiar with this issue. Jadine says, you use Bev's voice. She will sue you for a piece of little nickel. No, bad Bev. Dever like ever. What? No, I'm saying Deaver in protest because she got so mad at Alan Jackson for that. 100% she said her job depended on this. Yeah, I mean, that was so obvious. It's like, oh, she's talking and saying exactly what would happen in any movie where this happens, because we all understand how this happens. It's so common that it's a trope. Like, it's such a common concept. And it's like, were you pressured? No, not at all. Oh, okay. All right. And the jury, knows what's going on. But I don't know what they're talking about, the LawTube cesspool and picking her as the next victim. I don't know. Sorry. Cup of Sooth says, suing XL Energy for 4th Amendment violations with interval data collection, protecting medical cannabis from federal prosecution, fighting alone. Okay, Cup of Sooth. The XL Energy 4th Amendment thing is going to be rough because what you have to do is show that they're a quasi-government actor and that their actions are only the result of government request, and they become an agent, right? An effective agency relationship has been created. So good luck with that. Interval data collection. Is that, like when internet spikes and stuff like that, because, they're looking for, I guess, crypto miners. I don't know what they're exactly doing, but there's all sorts of things that massive increases in energy or massive decreases in energy usage in a house can show. For example, I have heard that 3-letter agencies use the combination of a blackout of internet packet data, along with an increase spike of electricity usage would correlate with someone using like a Tor or Tor in the Onion browser, right? So there is no so there is no data that the that is trackable all of a sudden, but the energy usage goes up.
I was at Best Buy and drew Stormy Night on one of those smart fridges, and the manger asked me to leave. It totally wasn't because I signed it micropeen.
That wouldn't be it at all. Of course not. Oh, dang it. I lost my train of thought. Oh, well. I think I made my point. Probably not. Who knows? Oh, wait. So the Tor and the Onion browser. They would use the lack of information they were able to get, plus the increased energy usage, which might indicate the turning on of a computer, for example, and put those together to suggest that something was going on. You know, they cops try to cops, not cops, any government agent who's looking into someone tries to use just about anything, correct or not, to justify what they're going to do next. But yeah, good luck on fighting that, man. It is a lonely road defending your rights.
My phone here, me and my woman doing it, and she said lube. Facebook gave me an ad for a 55-gallon drum of it. Shit's crazy.
Wait, is that real? Who are you, P. Diddy? Visit Hedonism 2. It says, Turtle, have you ever traded wives with a YouTuber? Well, he's not here anymore, so that answer will go unanswered, or that question will go unanswered. The Delaguna Show with Lauren Hayden says, heart you both, free FRK. Wait, I think it's supposed to be FKR. What's up, Lauren? Good to see you. Nice to chat. Hopefully we can talk soon about what's going on. Galaxy Gas Shop USA says, reminder, you can't get a DUI on new Fruit Punch Galaxy Gas family pack. I think that's actually bad legal advice. I think if you were caught, intoxicated on any sort of intoxicants, most states have a generalized prohibition on being impaired while driving. Michael Stetson says, it became a conspiracy when they tampered with evidence. I agree. And I think there's sufficient evidence that people can confidently call it a conspiracy. Now, I would be hesitant to say who exactly was involved in the conspiracy. I mean, there's certain people who seem to be. Michael Proctor, for example, in his investigation seems to have been influenced by and then therefore making him a part of the conspiracy. There's some other people, right? But knowing that there was a conspiracy and knowing the exact details and motives of the conspiracy are different. That should be obvious. Let's see. Cup of Sooth says 7th Circuit found it to be a 4th Amendment violation. Pulls electricity every 15-minute increments. They're a public utility and they report suspected activity to authorities. Okay, then I'm 100% with you on that. That sounds that's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, I guess public utilities, even though they're run by private companies, they make classic government agency relationships. So go get them, man. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay. We've got BobTube says, Turtle get 5K viewers on a Kurt cooking stream. Probably. I hope more people want to watch them with me. They're so funny. Christina Jarvis says, I love this Nick 2.0. I'm glad Dr. T sent me to your show. Hey, thank you, Christina. Happy to be here. My Spirit to Yours says, what happens now? Does the case reopen? What case? Karen Reed's? Karen Reed's case is done. She was acquitted on 2 counts, or found guilty of DUI, and that's that. It's done. To try her again or to reopen that case would be double jeopardy. Tech Guy says government indirectly controls a lot of the exit nodes on Tor, which can get source information already. They use more than one method to track. Yes. I'm in what I'm talking about. I heard about several years ago, and certainly I'm sure that they've become much more sophisticated in the interim. Let's see. Sorvisa, thank you. Sorivsa, thank you for the donation. Really appreciate that. Island says, I like it when you say my name. It's like the first time every time. Good to have you back. Yes, to watching The Verdict. Okay, we'll put that up in just a second. D. What gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, D. What, for those 5 memberships that were gifted. Let's pull up the Karen Reed verdict. And because I didn't get to see it. Now I want to see it. Hell, I don't want news about it. Stupid news about it. Well, I think I can find it here. I have to find the right search term because, like, it, a whole bunch has happened since then. Bill Rivers or Bruce Rivers. I don't want someone's reaction to it. Where's just a news story? Oh, here we go. 5 minutes from Court TV. Perfect. Okay. Where's my share screen? Boom. Here we go. I read this one from Cup of Soothe. My bad. So here's the verdict watch. I have not done this yet, so I'm happy to have so many of you with me. It is wonderful that you're here. Let's go.
Will the deliberating jurors remain standing? Defendant remains standing. All other parties may be seated.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that 12 deliberating jurors and 6 alternates are present.
Yes.
May I inquire?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman, members of the jury, have you agreed upon a verdict? Yes. Thank you. May I see the papers?
Let me see your papers.
Mr. Foreman, have the verdict slips been placed in this envelope and have they been in your presence ever since? Yes.
Here you go.
Mr. Foreman, on docket number 2282CR117001, murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you? No.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Do all of you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. 002, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
Of.
Is not guilty or guilty about that charge or any lesser included charge? Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct?
Yes.
So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Guilty.
So say you all?
Yes.
003, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Whoa!
So say you all?
Hear the roar of justice.
Jurors, hearken your verdict as the court records it. You, upon your oath, say the defendant on 001 is not guilty, on 002 is guilty of operating under the influence of liquor, and 003 not guilty. Thank you.
All right.
It's the
Jurors,
best feeling in the
everybody
world,
please
I
be
bet,
seated.
for her, for everybody at
Jurors,
that
we
table.
Thank you for your service. We're going to send you back. Your service is complete. I'd like to come back and talk to you for a little bit afterwards. So thank you very much.
All rise. Jurors, follow me.
Even Yanetti's crying back there. Everybody's crying except Alessi. Alessi's like, I killed my emotions. No, I'm just kidding. Like her life was given
Karen Reed.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Tony,
Hold on,
not yet.
hold on,
Not yet.
everyone. Karen Reed. Ms. Reed, can I have your attention? As required by
No.
statute, I must inform you that the records regarding the charges that you have been found not guilty will be sealed by the Commissioner of Probation by the court unless you notify the Commissioner of Probation in writing within 10 days that you do not want these records sealed. To request that these records not be sealed, you may use the Request Not to Seal form, which is posted on the trial court's website on mass.gov. I cannot accept the form here in court. You must submit it to the Commissioner of Probation at the address provided on the form. Please be aware that if the records regarding the charges which you have been found not guilty are sealed, you will be unable to access the sealed record of the not guilty dispositions or any other records regarding those charges. If you want copies of any documents regarding those charges before the records are sealed, you should request copies from the court within 10 days. Do you understand? Thank you.
All right, so we need a date for sentencing. Can we do it next week?
We can. We would be prepared to go forward today.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, so they're like, let's sentence it right now. I mean, why not? First time offense on a DUI, there's probably a Massachusetts statute that says like, yeah, this is going to be probation, no jail time, a year long. Like a lot of states have stuff like that. So, well, that was cool. That was a good feeling. It is good to see justice done, to see it done right. To see it done. Actually, it wasn't right. I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't say that, because justice was attempted to be completely subverted by the state. But to see justice prevail, I guess, is the and to see it prevail righteously, to see it prevail correctly, through all the BS and the miasma of of potential cloudy skies, so to speak, I guess. But to see it shine through in this is that's really refreshing, and that's what we always want. We always want to see this happen, and the person who's being done dirty come out on top. So good job, Karen Reed. Good job. Well, guys, I think that's a good way to wrap this up. I had a second guest booked for tonight, but they were not able to. They were not able to make it. For some. I don't know how to say it. They weren't able to make it. I will hopefully be able to do a show with them at some point in the future. But yeah, thanks for welcoming me back. Again, still dealing with this nerve issue, so I think I'm gonna call it a night for the night.
Do you think Karen might be ready to date?
Is Attorney Jackson married? I mean, so all I've ever seen is that there are rumors of relationship between Karen Reed and Jackson, just because of some pictures taken with no context given. I don't have anything in there, but in the pictures they look like very friendly and amiable, and there's a lot of emotion, and they've been around each other a lot. So I don't know if he's married. I'm not going to say anything like that, but if he's not married, I mean, she might already be dating. Who knows? Jackson is married. Okay, never mind. Ignore that. Ignore that. I don't want to cast any aspersions. I don't mean it. I literally just didn't know. And the pictures are very friendly in the courtroom. They are, but of course they're going to develop a very amicable and affable relationship over the intense emotional trauma, I guess, that they're going through, along with all the time that they spend together and working together and trying to make this happen. So, but no, who knows? Leave her alone or go talk to her in person. I don't know anything about her. Tech Guy says, I like how the guy looked up at the clock after silently reading the verdict before handing the papers to Judge Bev, like a doctor getting the time of death from this case. Way to put it very dramatically. I like that. That's good. How much for a quick unbreaded? No, not on this stream. I don't want to do that on this stream. I like it exactly how it is. Having Turtleboy, having a Turtleboy. That wasn't meant to be offensive. Oh my God. Having Turtleboy on, having the interview, watching the Karen Reed thing. This stream was intended, and I think it's become an effect. It was intended to bookend the Karen Reed case on the channel. I think it's an effective way to do it. So we're going to go ahead and close it out. And we won't taint it with the hilarity of the unbreaded tonight. With that, I hope to see you all very, very soon. Hopefully getting back to streaming. I have to find a consistent time to put it into the schedule so you guys know to be here. And I will, of course, make those announcements as I have them ready on Twitter and on Locals, and maybe even YouTube community posts. So keep your eyes open for those announcements and make sure you come like the streams, watch the streams, and we'll try and get some clips up as well. All right, guys. Thanks a bunch for joining me. We'll talk to you very soon. Have a good night. Peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some law-splaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitterland. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an ardbeg, a bow, more of the frog. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear law-splaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, the guests are all planet folks from Dundee to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear law-splaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law.